What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 24 driver career mode, and we're here for round number 10 of our Formula 2 season, and it is time for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Now, last time out, of course, we were at the British Grand Prix in Silverstone, and we got 2 victories. We did the double. We won the sprint race from P10 on the grid, and then from pole position in the feature race, we managed to win the feature race as well. So yeah, very happy with that. Basically picked up the maximum gambit of points that we could, and now it's time to turn our attention towards the Hungarian Grand Prix. And I was not the fastest I possibly could have been in practice. We only managed to get P13, so I think things actually are going to be a little bit harder than they were, especially in Britain, but also in a lot of the tracks leading up to this one. I'll be quite impressed if we manage to get a win at all here. As you know, with the difficulty scaling that I've been doing, every time I win, I up the difficulty by 1, and that means that off the back of the last win we had, we're now on 102 AI difficulty. Now, that's the kind of thing I might be able to be somewhat competitive with on a track that I'm quite good at, like Silverstone. Hungary is not one of my strongest tracks, however, and so I think that this weekend is going to be a big struggle for us here, and I wouldn't be surprised if we end up a little bit further down the order. Hopefully we'll still be able to bag a few points, but yeah, I'm not expecting to get a win here today. Anything that we can do will be pretty good, I would say. So as we round the final corner on our first flying lap here in qualifying, we are going to be doing a 128.3, and that is good enough at the moment for P8, but we will see where we are later on in the session, because obviously I would like to get a bit of improvement over that if we possibly could. And things got a lot more drastic because we actually found ourselves all the way down in P22 at the end of the session. So yeah, we're going to need to be finding ourselves improving quite a lot on this lap. But you can see that the gap is only about I'm only a tenth under my delta. So yeah, not really the kind of lap time I was looking for here, really. We are going to be improving a little bit as we come on the run to the line. We cross it, improve by 0.09 of a second, but it still will only be P22, and that is an incredibly disappointing qualifying, far worse than what I was anticipating.
It's time to leave for now, but we'll be back tomorrow when the feature race gets itself underway.
So one of my closest championship rivals, Victor Martins, has bagged pole position. Ayumu Iwasa is up there as well in P7. And Kush Miney is all the way down here in P21 with me, actually. We'll be starting alongside each other on the back row, the 2 championship rivals at the moment, I suppose you could say, even though I am significantly far ahead of Miney. He is the closest driver to me in the championship, and we'll be starting alongside each other in the back row. So we're going to need a huge recovery if we want to score any points in either of these races, and we will see what we do as we get into the sprint race.
So it's all about speed in today's sprint race then. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? The Hungaroring is located 12 miles northeast of the capital, Budapest. It's 2.7 miles long, featuring 14 corners, and it's got a reputation for making overtaking difficult. Nevertheless, there's a history of some truly exceptional races here. Let's hope our Formula 2 drivers can serve up some more of that today. It's Formula 2, it is the sprint race. I'm Alex Jakes, Alex Brundle is alongside me. Now Alex, there's no mandatory stop in the rules, but this is Formula 2. Anything could happen.
Well, you've got the grid reversed, giving some drivers who wouldn't normally get it the opportunity to take a win or a podium home. They're going to be looking to snatch that opportunity if at all possible.
I know you're frustrated to be this far back on the grid, but you've got to keep that under control. Keep a cool head and work your way through the field gradually as you go. It's not all going to be won or lost at the first corner.
Well, obviously, this is a sprint race, so no opportunities to get ahead on strategy here today. It is going to be entirely predicated on my driving. And you have to say that if I'm that far off the pace in qualifying, quali is usually a bit of a strong suit for me, and then maybe race pace I'm not so fast at some of these circuits, especially based on the practice programs that I did. It seemed like I was losing the tyres very quickly around here, and I reckon that I'm probably going to be degrading the tyres at a bit of a faster rate than the AI will be. And so if we don't get ahead of them quickly, we aren't going to get ahead of them. We're just going to fall further and further back from them. So yeah, I reckon that this is going to be a very difficult race for us here today. If we can get any points whatsoever in either of these races, I will be astounded, quite frankly, from this far back on the grid. We almost went into the back of Roman Stanek as we were lining up on the formation lap. I overshot the final corner a little bit because I didn't realise how quickly the pit box was going to come up. But now we will see what we can do as the lights come on. And the lights go out as we switch to the replay camera here, and you can see that is Jahan Daruvala getting away well from sprint race pole, and in the background you can see the two Camposes are battling with one another. But where are we in all of this? I think we're at the back there. You can see in the PHM car we are all the way down in P22 still. We're going to try and go out the inside of the Campos drivers. I think that's Kush Miney on the outside and Ralph Boschung in the middle between the two of us. So yeah, I don't know how it's happened this way, but somehow the two of us, myself and Kush Miney, have gone from battling for race victories just a few races ago to finding ourselves all the way down at the back of the grid. Miney has made his way through into P20 for now. We're up into P21, and it's Boschung who is the biggest loser here, falling all the way down to the back of the field. But we are now going to try and go around the outside of Kush Miney here if we possibly can, and we almost managed to get ahead of him. And now as we come on the run to the chicane, we're going to try once again to get ahead of him, and I think this time we've actually managed to pull it off on Kush Miney, and we're up into P20. But still, all of that just to make up 2 positions, and well, that is probably the easiest part of the race within which to overtake has been and gone now. So if we're going to make any more overtakes, we're going to have genuine pace to get ahead of anybody else. So yeah, it's going to be really, really difficult to make up any positions. I'm just going to have to try and lock in, focus, really just drive to the absolute maximum that I can without over pushing the car. You know, it really is a delicate balancing act, especially in Formula 2. We don't want to burn out the tyres too quickly. But the problem is that if I'm too gentle, then what happens is this, where the cars in front just break away nice and quickly. You know, that's the thing about 102 AI and any AI difficulty above 100 is that they are just gentler on their tyres overall. They are incredibly good at managing the tyres, getting good traction out of the corners, all of that kind of thing, and so they are really, really hard to race with. And I don't know if I'm prepared for this, quite frankly. That's probably the best way I can describe it. I don't know if I am at this level just yet. We managed to get ahead of Leclerc temporarily, but I think now he is going to get back ahead of us here on the run down into turn 1 on lap number 4 here. And Kush Miney looked like he might be interested in having a go as well. We don't have any DRS here on this occasion, but hopefully we'll be able to stay with Arthur Leclerc through to the end of this lap to have the DRS on him going into the next lap. But that didn't quite materialise. This is how much faster the AI were than me today. 1.7 seconds he managed to gap me on that lap after overtaking me. And now Kush Miney is going to try and come through as well. We're going to try and fight him back round the outside. But all we actually end up doing here is exceeding track limits. We get our first warning of the session, and we invite his teammate Ralph Boschung into the fight as well. He's going to try and go for a move around the outside of us through the next hairpin, and he almost manages to pull it off, but not quite for Ralph Boschung, I don't think. But he's still staying in the fight. We're going to be wheel to wheel going on the run up the hill, and all he's doing is taking me out of this fight with Kush Miney. The more that I battle with Boschung, the further behind Miney I'm going to get, and we have been set an objective to get ahead of Miney and up into 20th place now. I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest with you. I just think that Miney is likely to get further and further away. You can see that this delta to Kush Miney is going up, only by a few tenths over the course of this lap, but slowly, gradually, you know, he's pulled away by 2 seconds over the course of the lap. So, yeah, it was not a good position to find ourselves in whatsoever. Ralph Boschung now, he's going to go for the move with the DRS as well. He knew what he was doing when he was battling with me. He was setting himself up nicely to get the overtake done. And we're down into P22, and you would have to imagine, based on the pace I've shown so far in this race, this is probably where we're going to stay. I can't imagine that we're going to do anything from this position now. And as we make our way towards the end of lap 7, we fail the objective. We definitely didn't get into 20th place. 20th place is now 6 seconds up the road from us. He only overtook us about 3 or 4 laps ago. So yeah, they are lapping significantly faster than me. I think this is a Hungary thing, is the thing. You know, it's easy for me to say, obviously, but I don't believe that this is difficulty related. I think 102 AI difficulty on another track that I was actually strong at, I think I would be able to cope and battle and maybe not win, but certainly race. But I think the problem is the track itself, a bit like in Baku where I just had absolutely no pace as well. I think this is the same thing here in Hungary, where I just don't know how to drive this track. You know, I was trying to drive it to the absolute maximum of what I could, but we failed another objective here. And yeah, I was just really not having fun at this point. I just couldn't keep up the pace with the AI in front, no matter what. Yeah, like I said, I just think driving at Hungary, clearly on this year's game, it's not the one for me, or at least in F2, it's not the one for me. I've already kind of got to grips with it a little bit driving an F1 car, but not massively. But yeah, Hungary just doesn't seem to be my track, and well, this is particularly damning, right? Because this could be, as we almost lose the back end of the car coming through the hairpin there. This is particularly damning because this could be the kind of race that an F1 team looks at and goes, yeah, that's maybe not the guy that we want, not the guy that we're looking for. But we are going to come to cross the line. We're going to take P22. No pace, absolutely no pace. Part of me wants to imagine that we are going to have a slightly better race in the feature race, but yeah, it's going to be so tough. It's going to be so tough to do anything.
A nearly flawless performance here then, and a commanding victory.
Well, whether you love or hate sprints in Formula 1, they definitely deliver. In Formula 2, lovely stuff. Great racing.
Our drivers are making their way out for the podium celebrations, and it's going to be MP Motorsport picking up the winner's trophy. Congratulations to the entire team for that fantastic performance.
Well, there we go. It is veteran Formula 2 driver Jahan Daruvala picking up the victory. Clement Novalak is the driver who will be coming home in P2. And surprisingly, it's Amaury Cordeel finding himself on the podium in P3 here today. A solid performance from the Invicta Virtuosi driver there. And yeah, I think his first podium of the season there.
After all this drama, you'll be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you then. Take care.
So at least I can take solace from one fact, and that is that Victor Martins did not score any points here today either. He only managed to grab P9 here, but he will be starting on feature race pole, so that will be a bit of a trickier one, you would imagine. Yeah, Iwasa for sure, they did pick up a few points here, nothing massive though. So I reckon that we have a decent chance of not really taking too much damage to our championship lead. Obviously there will be a little bit, just for the simple fact that everybody who is close to me, apart from Miney, is starting in that top 10 position and will be battling for points in the feature race as well. But yeah, I mentioned last video, of course, that there was talk about Nick De Vries being dropped at AlphaTauri, and there would be an opportunity for me to maybe get into the AlphaTauri for the rest of the season. That unfortunately has not really materialised here. They've instead opted to go for Daniel Ricciardo, which is a move I can't proclaim that I particularly understand. You've got plenty of talented rookies who are doing really well in Formula 2, and you've also got a few drivers sat on the sidelines like Liam Lawson and like Felipe Dragovic. All these drivers who are sat on the pit wall and in the garage of Formula 1 teams, kind of being their reserve drivers and stuff like that. I don't know why you would opt for someone like Daniel Ricciardo, somebody who generally at this point is kind of considered as maybe past his prime a little bit, and yeah, it just doesn't really make much sense to me. But we will see. Maybe he'll deliver some solid results. Maybe he'll prove that he deserves to be back in that Red Bull seat ahead of Sergio Perez or something like that. But yeah, it just doesn't seem to be the ideal situation for ourselves when we were gunning for potentially an early promotion to Formula 1. I think we're going to have to wait probably till the end of the season now. I can't see any of these other teams making a mid-season driver switch now, as we are approaching the halfway point of the Formula 1 calendar. We're almost done with the Formula 2 calendar, of course, but yeah, only barely getting towards the summer break in the Formula 1 calendar at this stage. We're going to have to hope that this is just a rare blip in our form, and that we can recover things in the next race weekend, because we can't afford to have too many more of these. I think no matter what happens from this point onwards, honestly, even if we score barely any more points going forward, I would imagine that we will still probably be able to win the championship without too much hassle. But either way, we will see if we can do anything to recover in the feature race.
We're just 18 kilometres from the city of Budapest here in Hungary, where today's Formula 2 race is about to start. Hold on to your hats, this should be something special. The Hungaroring is located 12 miles northeast of the capital, Budapest. It's 2.7 miles long, featuring 14 corners, and it's got a reputation for making overtaking difficult. Nevertheless, there's a history of some truly exceptional races here. Let's hope our Formula 2 drivers can serve up some more of that today. Let's take a look at the grid positions for today's race. A fantastic effort from Victor Martins yesterday puts him on pole position. And starting alongside him P2 is Teo Porcher. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Benavides, Hauger, Ollie Behrman, and for sure Owasa, Novalak, Cordial, Jan Deruvala, Maloney, Correa, Jack Crawford, Jack Doohan, Hadjar, Fittipaldi, Leclerc, Frederick Vesti, Boschon, Stanek, Miney, and Robinson. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. It is the Formula 2 race. It is time to introduce you to Alex Brundle. I'm Alex Jakes, and we've got changeable weather out there today. That's making for some nervous team personnel down in the paddock, down in the pit lane.
Well, uncertainty is what strategy's all about, but it absolves the teams from the responsibility of running both compounds of tyre. They might have to use that wet tyre, of course, and then the question is, where do those crossovers lie between the wet and dry conditions?
Try to put the starting position out of your mind and just focus on the race ahead. We can still do a good job here today.
I have to get into Formula 1. I have to, because there is absolutely no way I can hear that line about changeable weather conditions when it's just not true anymore. I'm going to lose my rag. I'm so glad that we are getting towards the end of this calendar now. Only 4 more race weekends after this one, of course. And, well, I maybe will have made things slightly easier for myself here today in the feature race. We are down to 101 AI now. We were on 102 for the previous race, but I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference. For those of you who don't know how I've been doing difficulty scaling, traditionally, if I get a win here in Formula 2, then I will bump up the difficulty by 1, and if I finish outside of the points in a race, so outside the top 8 in the sprint or outside the top 10 in the feature, we will go for a lower difficulty in the next race. We'll bump it down by 1, and you know, if I finish in the points but without a win, then it will just stay the same as it was. But here we are, lining up on the grid, overshooting our grid box very frustratingly. I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference ultimately. Now I'm not going to score points. We'll see what we can do as the lights come on. And the lights go out, and we've had a decent getaway here compared to Kush Miney there. We're going to try and go around his outside if we can. Ralph Boschong again with a slow getaway from P19. He's potentially going to be falling all the way down to P22 once again. And yeah, he just doesn't seem to be particularly good on the starts here at the moment. We almost had an opportunity to go around the outside of Arthur Leclerc there. I almost said Charles Leclerc. Definitely not him. We've got ahead of both of the Camposes nice and cleanly this time, and now we're going to try and go for a move on Roman Stanek in the Trident car if we can get ourselves up into P19. And well, actually we have, I think, managed to muscle him to the outside, which then gives him the inside line very slow through the next corner, and we sweep round his outside. We're up into P19. And this has been a pretty good start, to be honest. This is actually better than it was in the sprint race. We're going to try and dive up the inside of Leclerc there. Leclerc says no, and yeah, I maybe don't have a great understanding of the limits of the car, or maybe it's just that the AI do have a really good understanding of the limits of the car. We're on 101 AI after all. You know, I need to remind myself of this fact that this is the game's idea, at least, of what realistic AI performance is like compared to how these drivers drive in real life. You know, the kind of pace that they show in real life is similar to what they would show on 100 AI difficulty plus. You know, once you get above 100, it's actually faster than AI would be in real life, which is, you know, a little bit of a... it's always been something that's kind of rubbed me the wrong way, I think, about these games, is this idea that in the games you can go faster than you can in real life. Because believe me, when Max Verstappen sets a qualifying lap, or maybe not Max Verstappen, but you know, just any Formula 1 driver, when they set a qualifying lap, you best believe there is a very, very small margin of time that can be extracted from that. Not like a few tenths, like a few hundredths of a second, if that, probably. can still be extracted from the qualifying laps they do. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one for me, but I don't really mind too much. We almost got ahead of Arthur Leclerc there. Once again, we got ahead of him in the sprint race, only for him to get straight back past us, of course. And now as we make our way onto lap number 3, we are going to go a bit deep into this corner this time. I just was struggling so much with understeer around here. That was one thing I did wonder, is that maybe it's not so much a Hungary thing, and maybe it's just a simple fact of, obviously, we're quite early on into the game's life cycle, and I have not been using setups in Formula 2. Once we get into Formula 1, I will be using some setups that I've been sort of practicing on over the course of sort of my free time playing this game outside of recording for the videos. But yeah, for Formula 2 I've just been using default setups, and I do wonder whether that is just not really something that is feasible here in Hungary. You know, other tracks like Silverstone, for example, the default setup served me nicely, but I think here in Hungary it just doesn't seem to quite be good enough, really. So yeah, we lose out to Roman Stanek there. We're down now into P20, and you would have to imagine that it won't be long before I start finding myself falling further and further down the order. Here comes Kushmaini now. Brad Benavides is already 10 seconds ahead of us. He's actually in P3, so once again, Brad Benavides, much like in Baku, as we get a double overtake done on us there by Kushmaini and Ralph Boschung. But once again, Brad Benavides has found himself in a really strong points-paying position when I've completely dropped the ball. So, yeah, big shout-out to that guy for putting the team on his back when I can't. And now we will make our way onto lap number 7, and we will see if we can complete this objective of achieving a certain lap time of a 1:32.0. However, this objective was proving a bit difficult for me. My pit lap was always going to be on lap number 8, and we've kind of been bailed out a little bit here from failing the objective by simply postponing it as we come into the pit lane to change onto a set of medium compound tyres to the end of the race. And well, the mediums didn't serve me tremendously well in the sprint race, so I don't have the utmost confidence that they're going to do anything better in the feature race. But it will be nice to at least get off these 60+% worn tyres that we're currently running on here in Hungary, and get ourselves out into a bit of clear air. Maybe try and catch up with the cars in front a little bit, but they were like 10 seconds ahead of us before the pit stop phase. Surely an undercut here is just completely unfeasible. We will see whether that is the case or not as we round the first corner. And now we're going to move on to lap number 11, and you can see everybody else now has boxed, and the closest driver is Ralph Boschung, 8 seconds ahead of us. We are well and truly finished in this race, surely. We've got an objective here to burn off a certain amount of fuel. I did get very close to it. We were just 0.05 kilograms over what they wanted, but you know, failing is failing. No matter how close you got, either you achieve something or you don't. It doesn't matter whether you're close. So yeah, that's another failed objective here. I don't think we've passed a single objective this weekend, so we're going to have one more opportunity to do so, where it's asking me to set an average lap time of a 1:31.7 over the next 3 laps, which yeah, I think that might actually be possible. We'll see. To make our way onto the final lap of the race now, let's not dwell in this misery too much. You know, we'll just let the race come to a natural conclusion here. Terry Pourchaire ended up coming home to win, but yeah, we're 0.3 under the gap of the average at the moment. So even if we go a little bit over the average, we should still be able to reach this average lap time no matter what. So it does look like we'll at least pass one objective this weekend. That'll be good for our rating. We kept it nice and clean. I don't think we got a single warning in the feature race, and we only got 1 or 2 in the sprint race as well. So despite this, we should get a little bit of a rating boost, you would imagine. But we are going to round the final corner now, cross the line to take P22, and we did pass that objective. You heard the noise. But my goodness, what a hard weekend. What a really difficult weekend. Just driving around, very, very lonely. And hopefully we will be able to recover a bit of form in Belgium.
A great win then for the ART team today.
When life feeds you lemons, drive like that. Awesome stuff to come back from what was a really difficult start to the race.
ART, the French team who have been racing since the 90s in various forms of motorsport, are once again back on the winner's podium today. after a brilliant display of driving skill.
So it is Théo Pourchaire claiming P1 here in the feature race. He's not had the best of seasons, Théo Pourchaire, to be fair, but two drivers who are having pretty decent seasons are Ayumu Iwasa and Victor Martins, both of whom also stand on the podium here today. So yeah, I would be very surprised if my championship lead hasn't taken a little bit of a hit from one of these guys, but we will see whether that is the case or not.
There will be plenty more twists and turns to come this season. I hope you'll join us at the next race when Formula 2 returns.
Yeah, it was a very good weekend for Iwasa. 23 points scored here today. Only person who outscored him was Pourchaire, who got that feature race victory. Brad Benavides came home in P4 in the end, so a great result from him to bag some more good points for the team. And you can see in the end we were 22 seconds off of Ralph Boschung there. Absolutely no pace whatsoever. We'll check out the standings now, and you can see I still have a 90-point lead over the championship, and it is still Kush Miney, despite him not scoring any points this weekend either, who is the closest driver to me. So the top two unchanged here this weekend, and PHM still sit atop the constructors standings by 70 points as well. So yeah, all in all, really good weekend for us. You know, I couldn't have envisioned that the weekend was going to go as well as it did in terms of holding on to the championship lead in both championships. You know, I thought for sure we would take a bit of a knock there from somebody, but it hasn't happened, and so we can hold our head high. We can say that there were still a lot of positives to take away from the race, despite the fact that I just didn't seem to have any pace today. We still, you know, showed aspects of professionalism to go on and try and complete the race as best as we could. You know, try to just give the team feedback and complete the objectives they were setting me. We did manage to pass one of them in the end, which isn't great. You know, I would have ideally liked to have passed as many as I could, but you know, I still gained a little bit of a rating boost off the back of that. And yeah, we hopefully will at least have shown some qualities that that Formula 1 teams will be interested in potentially. You know, don't forget, we still have a 90-point lead over the championship. We need to not catastrophize about this too much. You know, everyone has a bad weekend from time to time. Yes, I know. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about you know, driver replacements at the moment in this stage of the season, especially with Daniel Ricciardo recently coming into that AlphaTauri seat in Hungary as well. Nick De Vries being dropped from the program, so it'll be difficult for me to kind of, you know, bounce back from this one, knowing that there is a lot of talk about, you know, who could be on the grid for next season and stuff like that. But you know, I'm still optimistic. There's still a few drivers who are not performing particularly outstandingly so far this season. You would argue, you know, Kevin Magnussen being one of them. Of course, I don't actually know if he's picked up any points so far this season. I think he got one in Saudi Arabia, and that's been about it. There was Zhou Guanyu as well, who had a very terrible incident this weekend. You know, he did a great job in qualifying, and then really just caved to the pressure quite significantly. Had a terrible getaway from the line, and then ended up causing a bit of a terrible incident down at turn 1. So yeah, it was a bit of an embarrassing weekend for him. Maybe some questions will now be raised about whether he should be driving in Formula 1 or not. And you know, there's also other drivers that potentially are under a bit of pressure as well. Logan Sargent still without any points this season. He obviously is a rookie, so he's under a bit less scrutiny, but you know, I would still be interested to see whether the team retain him for another season or not. Yeah, a few options for us. Maybe the door to getting in that AlphaTauri seat and maybe one day the Red Bull seat has now closed. But I still think that there are definitely going to be some doors open for us. We're 75 rated. We did gain rating overall. Yes, we lost a bit of focus here today, but that is not too big of a problem as long as we can gain that back. In the next race, you know, Belgium is a circuit that I've typically gone quite well around in the junior categories and stuff like that. So I'm optimistic that we'll be able to do the same thing in the following weekend and hopefully have a bit of a better race. But that is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.